Fauyi here, coming to you live from the beautiful city of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Just checking in, guys. I wanted to do a solid video out the gate this Monday. And I was thinking, this channel, I used to be pretty dedicated to doing videos about narcissism and narc abuse and all of these things. And so I have a lot of videos people really liked back about a year or two ago, where I was discussing, just what it is and, what it means to be engaged in a narcissistic relationship with someone who basically doesn't know how to be just and fair and to actually love in an authentic way like a narcissist. And I have to say, when I think about, what it means to get away from those toxic types of interactions and relationships, that is something that very much mimics kind of the relationship that especially us people of color, black folk especially, have had with America, so with the USA for, the last centuries. So I want to talk about that a little bit. It's kind of loud out here right now. But I want to talk about that because, in abusive scenarios, like when you're in a narcissistic relationship, there is this sense of knowing something is off, having cognitive dissonance about what is happening in the relationship, whether it be financial abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, even physical abuse. Whatever it is, there is a sense of the victim, in the victim, where they know something is wrong and yet they can't reconcile it. They don't know how to pinpoint exactly what's going on. They definitely don't know how to put boundaries down, because one of the big issues in the narcissistic abusive relationship is that there is someone, the victim, who is continuously allowing the narc to overrun their boundaries. And when it happens, even though it might upset them, they will come back to this baseline of just inaction, not doing anything about it. And so there's this continuous process of back and forth of just having your boundaries aggressed on and not standing your ground about it. And so the thing is that in these relationships, there is this knowing and knowledge and understanding that you would like to be free of whatever this mess is that you're in. And yet at the same time, you can't seem to make a move. You can't do anything. You can't leave. And this is very common in narcissistic abusive relationships. That's why when people get on and they want to complain and say, well, why don't you just leave? What's the problem? Why don't you just leave? That's not how that works. That's not how that works, because of, one, the trauma bonds that have taken place, all of the ways that the brain chemistry has been disrupted because of the repeated trauma in which you forgave as a victim, you let it slide, you fussed a little bit and moved on like it never happened. All of these things continue to create a trauma bond to the abuser, okay? And so you have that going on. You also have just this restructuring and rewiring of your own brain chemistry based upon being in these relationships and not saying that it's time to go. You know what I'm saying? And so in a lot of ways, I can compare this to what I see happening with a lot of people in the U.S. that I've been talking to. And, a lot of people know that they kind of need to make some moves and do something different. But then a lot of people are just kind of frozen. They're stuck. They're finding ways to try make it look like what's happening is just a temporary thing that should just get better. We'll be all right. We'll be okay. Meanwhile, feds and the rogue group of individuals who are now running the feds are, constantly instating and passing laws and removing things that were in place and protections and all kinds of stuff that, they're making moves that are very, very harmful to your average person in the U.S. And it just, to me, obviously, someone from my vantage point, I'm like, well, why don't people just leave? But I have to remind myself that You know, just because I was able to see that and do that doesn't mean everybody's going to be able to break the trauma bonds and all of the things that they have with that government, with that country, and move on from there without it being like a real serious haul, like a real like challenging thing. So, you know, for me, it's very obvious that these are toxic. This is a toxic relationship that we have with this U.S. Government. And a lot of it has to do with the brainwashing that they've been doing forever to try to make it look like it was a great country that was really about the people, was really about freedom and all of these things, all the brainwashing that took place for so long that affected the whole globe. Everywhere you go, people think America is supposed to be the best country in the world. You know how much I talk to Uber drivers here in Brazil, and they're just like, what do you mean America's not amazing? What do you mean it's not the best country? I thought everything was smooth easy. I mean, they don't even hear the bad news. They don't even know that Trump is now threatening Nigeria, going into Nigeria all of a sudden because they supposedly are killing too many Christians, when we really know what that's about. We know how resource rich, particularly in a specific resource, Nigeria is. Now he's threatening them. He's in Venezuela. He's going out. He's trying to procure and take over the resources of various countries right up under everybody's noses. And everybody's just acting like it's a normal day. But that's what abuse does to you. It makes you unable to see past the dissonance, see past the kind of unstable confusion that has you thinking that, hey, you know, maybe things will get better. I mean, this is exactly what you do in narcissistic relationships. Well, I see the good in him. I see the good in this person who is literally trying to annihilate me. So I'm just going to wait it out and just be more forgiving and really practice being, you know, in forgiveness. Really make a strong practice in being forgiving of someone who is just never going to figure it out, never going to act humane, never going to actually love you. And so that is something that I think we have to go through and start going through the process and the steps that are necessary to get ready to prepare ourselves to remove ourselves from abusive relationships in this whole process of getting ready to potentially leave the States, at least for now, as things are becoming more and more unbearable, more and more unlivable, and just way too much stress. For me, it's just way too much stress for anyone to feel like they have to endure that on a regular basis. So, you know, in narcissistic abuse, one of the first things you would do is, you know, start to gather your support system. So it's kind of hard to gather support when you're talking about maybe leaving a place where everybody loves you, or maybe you have people who are dependent on you, which in that case, you know, you would have to figure those things out. But it's hard to get support to leave because people don't want to see you go. And on the other side of that, not only do they not want to see you go, but some people who are around don't want to see you do better, especially than them. And so a lot of times you'll have a lot of naysayers and people like, what do you mean leave? This is the best country in the world. What do you mean we need to go abroad? What do you mean we need to go, you know, find more of a safe haven for now? And so you won't fully have the support, but you will find some people who are like, yeah, even wanting to plan with you to go. So it's good to pull your support together. I mean, that's one of the things when you're trying to get out of abuse. It's one of the first things you have to do because you're in such a vulnerable situation, you know, especially trying to leave something, because we know how dangerous it can be when you're trying to leave relationships. And in this case, people see the danger as in leaving a country that they're so used to, that they're so comfortable with, a system that they know, and trying to find a new place to go where maybe things won't be as easy, maybe they'll be more dangerous, maybe there'll be more, you know, possibility to have a lot of issues if they leave. So that's the danger that's perceived by a lot of people when they think about leaving the country that they grew up in, like America, right? Okay, whatever. Sorry, guys. So yeah. So that is one of the, there's a lot of demons that come up in these chats. It's really interesting. But yeah, man, you guys, let me get my head back together because this is like so weird. But what I was going to say is that when you're trying to get out of these situations, it's hard, but you have to gather your resources. You have to gather your support systems. And so on top of that, you got to be laying low in a certain way too. So not necessarily advertising that you want to move, that you're going to be leaving. Y'all, I'm getting out of here. Doing TikToks about it every 5 minutes and all of this extra shit. Like, just make your plan kind of quietly, but make sure you have your real friends, your real family in real life that can be a support to you, for instance, in the different ways you might need it, helping you to maybe sell your things, helping you to get organized in regards to your finances in some way, helping you, you know, in just any way you can, just so that you know if anything were to go down, they have your back, right? But then also just thinking about how important it is to do your due diligence. So you want to make sure you've researched where you're going, what your needs are, and whether that location can actually supply those needs, you know. So in other words, if you know you need really good hospitals around you, maybe you need dialysis regularly, or maybe, you know, these are very serious things that you wouldn't want to just willy-nilly go somewhere and find out that that place has a horrible medical system, or, you know, that it's too expensive, you can't even pay out of pocket for things, or you don't, you know what I mean? You really need to go somewhere that is aligned with what your needs are. And everybody is an individual. So we can't say that this place will work for you and it doesn't work for them. We don't know what place is going to work for who. And so it's very important that you do that due diligence, you research, you go into Facebook groups for the individual locations that you're looking at. You try to find out if there's WhatsApp groups you can get in, and you do the research. You know, so really try to do the research, doing all this stuff quite quietly, you know, to not put it out there so that everybody can start judging you and tearing you down and get in your head and mess with your mind. But, you know, really putting in that quiet work, that quiet preparation, okay? And this is kind of how it is when you are leaving a toxic relationship. You're planning, you're doing stuff quietly, and nobody's knowing about it except maybe your closest confidants, right? Your sisters, your you know, your parents, stuff like that. No one knows. You just do what you have to do, and try to keep naysayers out of the mix, right? Okay. And then, you know, once you feel prepared and you know where you want to go and you feel like you have a good sense of, you know, that place being able to supply you with the type of lifestyle that you need to feel comfortable and not feel like you have to bounce right back to America just because things are not how you need them to be, then once you have that, you can make that move. Once you have organized your finances, once you have done all of the things and organized yourself, you can make that move. Now, one of the things in narcissistic relationships is that you end up making the move, you end up leaving, and then you bounce back. It's a constant back and forth. It's a constant back and forth. And so that happens with a lot of us. And that's why, you know, when you're traveling abroad, a lot of us, we do end up moving back to the States for a while. I've been going back and forth for years. It's still a toxic cycle. You know what I mean? It's no different from a toxic relationship. You're still in a toxic cycle. And it takes a while until you realize that I can stand on my own too, sovereign, you know, somewhere else, living, you know, well, living more humanely, because you will, in most countries in the U.S., live better. And that's a fact. Most countries outside of the U.S., the lifestyle is better. I've been to a lot of them for living, and not just for visiting, not just to go and consume and exploit, but to go and live and be a part of the society, and you will have a better experience in a lot of countries, even ones around the U.S. And so, you know, we have to find a way out of that toxic cycle of the back and forth. It's okay to go visit. We have loved ones. We have peoples. If it's safe to go in there, And if it remains open, where you're not going to go up in there and end up stuck or having some issues, or there's not going to be some weird travel. We don't know, because the way the U.S. is going, the way it's isolating itself from the world, we don't know what kind of lockdown could eventually come about there. So because you got to think, Trump is doing all these tariffs. He's taking Americans off of the regular TikTok. He's doing all of these things that are isolating the people from the rest of the world. It's making it trade impossible for a lot of countries. So there isn't that in and out going on right now. And so we don't know what that could mean for just travel. So, you want to make sure if you're going back and forth, it's a safe thing to do at that time. But in the meantime, trying to really cleanse yourself of that energy. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. Once you leave the U.S., there's a lot people go through. It's abuse, because when you leave a toxic relationship, you also go through this period where you're doubting yourself. Oh, did I mess up? Should I go back? What should I do? And you literally have to go what we call no contact in the narcissistic kind of scene, in the narc abuse whole vernacular. So you go no contact. In other words, you need to go and go up in a bush somewhere, or to the jungle, or go somewhere, or even to a beautiful city that, still has nature spots, and just go and sit with yourself and really, really understand the amount of abuse that you've been exposing yourself to your whole life, not by your choice, because you don't choose where your parents decide to birth you and where they raise you. But good morning, just Clark. Thank you for the hearts, y'all. You don't choose these things, but as you become an adult, it is up to you to choose better for yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's up to you to choose better for yourself, to make moves that will allow you to live the way you're supposed to live. And I feel like in the United States, it's very hard to do that. Yes, there are a lot of us who are still making a lot of money, being very industrious, doing a lot of innovations, doing a lot of amazing things. I mean, our folks are amazing, despite all the crap that we be dealing with. So, I honor that and I respect that. But for those who just want to have a sense of not being so connected in a system of something that is so distorted and so just depraved, really, is how I see America. Just as a depravity there. Just look at the cruelty with which they're approaching other countries right now. The depravity, the media, and all of the lies and the onslaught of just manipulation that's constantly going on. There's something very depraved about these people. And believe me, governments all over the world deal with the same thing. It's just that the U.S. is in full, the U.S. is full on with it. And so what I feel like is that, just like in that narcissistic relationship, you're going to go no contact, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. I've done it. I did it with someone that I can say one time, maybe a couple of times, but one time in my life that I can say I had to do that with someone that I really cared about. Because it was like, I'm not going to continue to expose myself to this energy. This has nothing to do with me. And so you go no contact, and you sit it out, and you sit with yourself and do your mindset work, do your affirmations, do your journaling, you know what I mean? Take care of your body, exercise, and really just focus inward to start to understand just how much trauma we have had laid on us living in the United States for so long, and how important it is that we release that stuff. And that don't mean going around from country to country, searching up women to use and searching up people to go, mess with and have sex with, and think that's the epitome of doing good in life and all this stupid stuff. Like when you go abroad and you're really seeking sovereignty, you are seeking yourself, knowledge of self. And that means in a way where you're not being bombarded all the time with all of the scary things that are happening around you, because you live in America and they have made it into one big terror dome, okay? The place, I could not stay there. My spirit is so unsettled there. Every time I go there, I'm like, I got to go. Doesn't mean I'm scared to death every time. I mean, I'm not scared like that, but I can feel that energy is very unsettling. And so usually for me, for years now, I've only been able to stay maybe a couple of weeks at a time. And I'm like, I gotta go. I can't do this because I know what it's like outside of that energy. And anyone I know that has gotten away and has been stayed away for long periods, it's very hard for them to consider going back. You know, sometimes folks go back for different reasons. They need to take care of family. They have things they want to, or that they need to deal with. But pretty much no one goes back by choice once you've been gone for a while. And so what I would say is that looking at it as you would look at a toxic relationship that you know you need to free yourself from is the best way to approach, you know, this whole move abroad that you may be thinking about. Maybe you haven't even got into the planning phase yet, but you know that there's something pulling on you. There's something calling you. You know, outside of where you are, there's more. You know, there's more. You can expand more. You can spread your wings more. You can live, you know, with more freedom and sense of like self. You can be creative, more creative. Believe me, like I'm not silly. I know there's plenty of us doing, you know, pretty much fine in the U.S. Fine. So to a degree, you know what I mean? But when I talk to people and I have a lot of connections and friends and family, all I'm hearing is that, you know, people are trying to hold it together. And trying to hold it together is not exactly what you would call thriving in life. You know, like I find where I'm at here in Brazil is no perfect place, but you can find aspects of perfection here because it is in a country that's going around bullying people all over the world. They're not in war with people. The people in general are very, very peaceful. They do have crime in certain areas of this country, but that's quite isolated to certain regions. And they tend to go very hard about cleaning things up in the rest of the country. So where I live in Sao Paulo, I've never seen anything like a crime. You know, it's just I've seen peace. That's what I've seen. And so I was able to come here and really go inward and focus on my healing in a serious way this time. And I finally got to the point where I was like, okay, I think I'm good. I don't need to go back there no more. After years of bouncing back and forth, going in and out, and a lot of that had to do with family and having to go see family or help elders in my family and stuff like that. But, you know, they're dead now pretty much. So it's like I'm kind of free in a certain way with all of that responsibility. And so it just has given me a lot of time to really start to heal myself, especially as a woman, because as a sister, there's layers and levels of trauma that we've been enduring for so long that, you know, they're devastating, and they devastate you particularly in your female organs, because that's what happens with women when we're carrying a lot. And so I've had to do a lot of work, y'all. And so I say, look at it like this effort to get out of this toxic situation, this toxic emotional abuse that we are encountering as residents, as living in America all the time, and just look at it that way and start to take those steps, organizing yourself, gathering your support, you know, preparing, doing your research, due diligence, okay, and removing yourself with the mindset that I'm going to be fine no matter where in the world I'm at, because I deserve better than this, basically. And I know there's better out there. It's too many of us out here all over this globe just breathing and living and doing well, thriving, actually thriving, you know, not being scared. Like not being fearful, not thinking somebody's trying to do something to us every time we turn a corner. There's a lot of us out here, you know, traveling out in the world. So you can do it. Like if that's something you want to do, I just continue to share that message, because I do feel like there are going to be ones that are called to leave, and they should be feeling empowered in that. And, you know, those of us from the outside that can support you all in that, that's what we're doing. So yeah, I mean, check out my links. I'm going to drop some. Definitely offering coaching consultations. I support people, especially if they're going anywhere in like Latin America. I've lived in a lot of countries and in the Caribbean, but I've also lived in Africa and other parts of the world too. So, you know, I can support, I can help. I've been doing this with children on and off for about 20 years now. Definitely. So I'm definitely here to support, and I would love to have more of you on my Substack as well. I don't know if you guys are up on that, but that's a nice platform. It's like a mature social media platform, you know, for more literary people, people with more intellect, less of the flashiness and the overproduced looking stuff that you see on Instagram, but just more of a real place for us to connect, you know, and to form community and to talk and to build and to consider all of the options that are out here, man, because there's a lot that we have a lot of options. I mean, I see people thriving in Portugal and Albania and Kenya and South Africa and Tanzania, Uganda, thriving in West Africa, thriving in, I know a woman who's in North Africa. She lives in, not Morocco, but next to Algeria. She loves it there. I mean, I know people in Asia, all over Central and South America, all over the Caribbean. All of these places have their own challenges. Nobody's trying to say there's perfect places where you're going to go and life is going to be, you know, serene 24/7. Life is life. Life is challenging no matter what, you know, at times. It don't mean it's a constant challenge, but it's the quality of life that I think about, the quality of life. Like, I have my challenges here in Brazil, but my quality of life is so much better here, you know, because I can get fresh food. I can get fresh fruit so close to I don't have to do nothing for the freshest, most highest grade food, the best fruit you've ever put in your mouth. These are things that are very important to me. I have access to all of what I need. There's universal health care. If I want it to be a little nicer, I can pay out of pocket and it's not killing me. You know what I'm saying? I can get all my supplements. I can get all my herbs. I can get all my things. There's a beautiful community of expats here. So I'm connected to people. And Brazilians in general are lovely. So though, you know, they're not the easiest people to make deep relationships with, they're so respectable, so nice that, you know, your connections are generally super nice. Okay, wonderful. I don't feel scared. I'm not scared somebody's trying to kidnap me. Scared somebody, it's a white van coming around the corner. My children can go out by themselves and I don't feel terrified about it. Because they put that terror in you. And I know a lot of us aren't tripping like that. We just free up and let God, right? So I know everybody doesn't move with that energy in the States. But for those of us who are empathic and are very, very sensitive souls and can feel frequencies, oh, bon dia, you know, and can feel the frequencies and the energy around. And that's not just some spooky, weird stuff. Like, literally, some of us are very much, our nervous systems are very wired to feel and to take in all of that negativity. And so it feels like you're being smothered in it. And I know some of you probably know what I'm talking about. It feels like it's taking over you. It's hard. Like, it's not like you're necessarily super depressed or anything, but you're not thriving and you know it. You're capped. And that's what I feel like America feels like. It's like you're capped. Okay? And there's so much more out here. So that is what I wanted to share today. I hope, does anyone have any questions? I'm always down to like answer questions. I have a lot of experience. Sometimes I'm so busy that I can't like sit down and do these videos like I would like to. I literally have to do them while I'm doing like my morning walk most of the time. But you feel free to ask me any questions or concerns or anything like that. I mean, yeah, man. I don't know. I mean, they're saying before the year is out, America might be engaged in a couple of different wars. Now, we don't know, and I don't like to like dramatize things. But, you know, as you know, the press has been pushing up and bullying in a lot of different places lately. If you weren't there, where would you be? That's a great question. If I wasn't here, I would probably be back in the Caribbean where my community is. my main, like my peoples, my loved ones. I'm from the U.S., but because me and my children, I kind of mostly raised them in the Virgin Islands. That is our real like home. Unfortunately, the Virgin Islands, due to it being a U.S. territory, is in a shambles that I couldn't even. There's no words for the shambles that island is. Those islands are in. And so, because of it, there's a lot of gun violence, very terrifying gun violence, a lot of insecurity, a lot of disrespect, and it's just not a good place. And so I choose not to be there now, though I have so many people that I do adore there, right? Is that the one thing that you lack in Brazil community? I don't lack it. I don't lack it here. Now, what is challenging here, no, because I have friends but they're Americans. So what I do have is not even just Americans, but others, expats from other parts of the world. Oh, I have friends here. The challenge that you will have, though, is if you want to integrate more in the culture of Brazil itself. These are very friendly people, very loving, very nice. They'll invite you out, whatever. But if you're someone who likes to go deeper with people, Brazilians are not necessarily known for, being able to. It's hard to make those deeper connections with Brazilians. So you'll find a lot of your relationships stay very much on the surface, and their comfort point and where they are really strong and good is in social arenas. So they like partying. And so if you are someone that likes to party, yeah, you'll have people to move around with and do things with. But if you're someone who wants more in-depth, that's very challenging here. These people, they're lovely, but they're also very much into their own. They're kind of isolated as a country in their own right because, they're surrounded by Spanish-speaking countries. And Brazil's just on its own thing. It's on its own beat. And so the people are very into their culture. They're very proud. And they'll accept and be cool with you, but you may not get on the inner circle like that. Beautiful. Okay, Linda. Beautiful dog. So yeah, exactly. If you're not into that wouldn't. It's not that you couldn't make friends here, but it just takes more. It takes time. You have to be patient. You might feel levels of isolation. A lot of Americans that come here feel quite isolated unless they're in some of the major cities where there are quite a few expats. Sao Paulo has a large expat community. I don't hang out with a whole lot of people because I work. I'm focused on work. But what I do is go out and document, and I'll do it. I put stuff here in my shorts especially. I do document the city and just how much you can do in the arts, live music, jazz, if you're someone who really appreciates the arts, culture. I mean, the place is amazing. And so I do like to document that stuff because even if you're not a clubber, there are still so many other things that you can enjoy here. But meeting people and making friends, it will take time. It will take time, and that's okay. It's okay. I think, we're all adults. Adults be busy with their lives. And then I live in one of the biggest cities in the world, right? So the expanse is incredible. So it's like you might meet somebody out and about, but if they live, 45-minute car ride out, the likelihood of you seeing them often is just not there. So it's harder to build, You said you're too old. Yeah, did anyone else have any questions? You can ask more too, of course, just humble. Yeah, so that's the thing. Now, what I will say has been challenging for me as a parent is that my son in particular, he's 14 almost, and his ability to build relationships here is very challenged because I have him in an online academy. And so we know homeschool children and kids that don't go to school, they are going to be the ones that are the most challenged in terms of relationships, right? And socialization. He does have one good friend here who's part of because my girlfriend is married to this child's dad. And so he does have one good friend, which is great. But that has been disappointing, because my son, he's just kind of home with me and his sister. most of the time. And that, I try to put him in activities, but he's gotten really particular. He had done martial arts for many years, and he was really in love with basketball when we left the Virgin Islands, but he's gotten really particular about the activities he doesn't really want to do that many things. And so it's been a lot of back and forth about that. So I'm just kind of keeping him in his art classes and, trying to keep him active and seeing his friends, his one friend regularly. But yeah, so that is a challenge. Other than that, though, I couldn't ask for a more serene life. I mean, people don't really necessarily talk about just how serene life can be somewhere like Brazil. Because for us now, the other thing that I don't doubt or take for granted is that I'm not from here. And though I speak Portuguese, it's not like to the point where I'm going around trying to read all the news, watching their newscasts, I'm not doing a lot of that. There is a level of being okay with just being kind of checked out on all the details, whereas I am from the US, so I'm probably more attuned, especially through my algorithms and stuff, to what's going on in the US in a way. So I know that that's probably why. And obviously I'm American, so I am concerned about other people like me, other people I know, and them being able to experience a better quality of life like I know they deserve. But let me tell you, nowhere is perfect, And at the end of the day, if you're trying to run and you're doing this and you're leaving the country on some runner energy instead of kind of doing some of the internal mindset work, you will probably find yourself back there. So a lot of us really just kind of need to take time with the mindset piece first. I'm going to go somewhere else because they're loud over here. With the mindset piece and realizing that everything and, doing the cleansing, a lot of that comes with like cleaning your body out, stuff like that. Starting to understand what has been done to us as being programmed under the American system for so long, what has been done to us, how we have been manipulated. And this is why we are catching so much hell in a lot of places right now. People especially are just tired of black folk, black Americans, and really, like, even with that whole thing with Jamaica, that was crazy. As some of you may or may not know, Jamaica had just got hit by a really nasty hurricane, really nasty, Hurricane Melissa. And I guess there were a lot of African Americans, and one of the things is that Florida is so close to Jamaica that even if it is hurricane season, folks are going to be going back and forth to Jamaica because it's Jamaica. One thing you about to have is a good time in Jamaica. I've spent a lot of time in Jamaica, and that's just one thing And so people was going back and forth. They maybe had no business there in the middle of hurricane season, especially when a lot of them already knew a hurricane was coming, but they were there. And so when Hurricane Melissa hit, it was like, but wait, y'all let us come. It's not like you closed it down. So then you should have been prepared for us at these hotels and these places where we dropping all these hundreds and thousands of dollars. You should have been prepared to also take care of us once this thing hit. So none of it really makes sense, because usually if they say a hurricane is coming to a certain island, it's probably gonna go to that island. So I'm not really sure what people were doing out there all the way, but all I will say is that now you got African content creators from Jamaica especially, other Caribbean content creators, people all over now just talking shit about African Americans and how we behave when we're traveling, when we're out, and basically how we move in like colonizers ourselves. With all these high greetings, Beverly, high expectations, unrealistic expectations for being treated a certain way in a chaotic scenario that is chaotic for everyone involved. And so there is a lot going on right now. And so that's why I say it's very important for us, especially because we are the most traumatized group in America, is to do a lot of that inner work before we try to get out here. Or else you're just going to be back and forth. You're going to be going up into different countries acting a fool, doing stuff like the one guy, Austin Holloman, who, keeps falling out of favor with literal countries because he's going in with the wrong spirit on him. Like, for instance, what he did in Brazil. He's one of those passport bros, and he did come out to Brazil and was just moving too loosey-goosey. Because these people, you know, a lot of the brothers, they'll leave the States and then think they can just go out in the world and they're just free to just do what the hell ever. And it's like, no, it's not like that. And you can't, and Brazil is not no place where it's just all the women are easy and all this extra shit like what they try to portray it as. And so he was moving really loosey-goosey out here, and they ran him the hell out of Rio de Janeiro, okay? And he hasn't really, I think he came back once, quiet, moving real quiet, and now he's out in Africa, still with the same antics. They went to Kenya, he got kicked out of, kind of pretty much ran the hell out of Kenya, literally mass movements to run him out of it. So it's like, if you are moving like that, and you're moving very entitled, and you're coming with all that American shit, and you think you're special because you're American and all these different things, and you don't know how to come and just act like everybody and just be normal, that is, you know, it's going to be hard for you out here in the world. You won't thrive, you won't do well, especially if you arrogant, because, you know, a lot of the world don't really fool with us like that because of how arrogant we have become, because of a program that's not real, which is that we come from the best country in the world. Total bullshit. The whole country was built on death, okay, and slaughter. So that's total nonsense. We don't come from no good country. There may be a few countries out here that would be considered, you know, decent, but America would not be one of them. And so, you know, we got to wake up off that. Get up off that. Stop drinking that Kool-Aid and really just wake the hell up. Oh, but Spoiled Trumpet, hi, greetings. Trumpet, listen, Spoiled is a, and that's what I love about Brazil. Like, I don't know what it is, but because the Brazilians in general are just lovely people, and I don't know why, but so this place draws some really quality people from the U.S. So you don't see as much of those terrible acting Americans out here, unless it's some of these passport bros. They're the ones that catch the most wreck and get, you know, kind of looked down upon out here the most. But other than that, wonderful people here. Families, kind. Oh my God. The people I've met from the Congo, from France, from Europe, from different parts of Europe, from different parts of Africa, from, you know, the States, from, oh man, Asia. Beautiful people are drawn to this country. So I love that about it. But yeah, we need to watch it. We really need to be careful, and we need to do that inner work so that we don't come out bringing that same American mess with us everywhere we go. That mentality, that lowly mentality of being better than everybody else. Just because we think we're from some country trying to flex, like we think we're from some wonderful country that's just better than everybody else. And look at what is happening. Look at what is happening, you know, through the leadership of America. They're out here bullying countries all over the world, taking over shit, running whole heists and theft, trying to go up into countries like Nigeria and Venezuela on some theft shit, because you know they just want what they want. This is a resource grab. Come on, we're acting like we don't really know what it is just because they make up stories about religious this and drug this and that. That's not what this is. So they are, and that's not going to stop. They're going to continue to spread out and continue trying to bully everybody. I mean, they've been bullying Canada, China, everybody, Mexico, everyone they're doing trade with. They don't even care about the trade relationships. Like, there's no care about anything. They just come in with that regular colonizer-ish, except now the twist is that the technocracy is being installed. So now you got the whole techno state that they're coming with. This tech thing is going to really color this in a way that we've never seen it. And so I'm just really, I'm keeping my eyes open. Y'all, if you want to get up out of there, come on, drop me a note, something, let's connect. And just consider at least an option for you. Other options, you know, people can go and try to just get them some land, do their subsistence farming somewhere out in the States and just kind of lay low. I do think the cities are going to continue to plummet, and the quality of life is going to continue to go down, especially in American cities. But, you know, if you don't feel like you can leave the U.S., at least try to get you some land, try to get some food growing. Get food security, at least. You know, that's one of the things we can offer ourselves. food security, which we all deserve. So yeah, that's it. Anyone have any other questions? Holla at me. I'm here. I'm just chilling right now. I decided I wanted to just come on and build for a while with you all today. I appreciate you all that have been staying on. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. We don't have a great reputation out here right now. Okay, that's why I try to make sure I spread the word. Like when I do talk to Brazilians and talk to people where I'm at, I'm telling you the truth about things. I'm not trying to hype up stuff and act like I'm pompous and I'm coming from some great situation or whatever. No, a lot of us are literally out here like needing asylum, okay? Literally like refugees out here. Because for me, that is unlivable. Living in the United States is just simply unlivable. So, because I've just done so many different things in different places that I know that that's not living. And so, yeah, we are literally like refugees out here. Oh, I appreciate you, Just Humble. I know you've been getting your thing together. Yeah, I mean, so many people want to leave but aren't sure. And what I was talking about earlier in this video is just how it's akin to, I don't know if you were on, akin to just trying to leave a toxic relationship. It's the same thing. It takes some planning, it takes some time, it takes some gathering of resources, obviously, it takes gathering of a support system. All of these things that you have to do when you know you want to dip on somebody who's abusing you full scale, like narcissistic abuse is abuse on every level: financial, spiritual, mental, psychological, sexual, so on every level of physical. You're being abused when you are, remaining in a toxic narcissistic situation usually. And so I would say that the United States is what they've been doing to everyone that lives there, but black people have gotten it the hardest and the worst. And we've been getting it the worst, and now we're acting like the most programmed and the ones that aren't seeing the truth about what's going on now. Just the way so many people got on that MAGA thing and everything, I was like, what are we doing? Like, I didn't support the other candidate either, but it's like, why are we even in 2025 even taking any of that stuff serious anymore? We should have been known these elections are fake and none of this stuff is real. Like, what are we doing? All they do is manipulate us, and we just sway from one side to the next. It's just pure manipulation. Nobody thinks for themselves. People don't like to think. People don't think no more. People don't even like to think. Literally letting social media just feed them thoughts. That's what people are doing now. And it takes effort. It takes a return to self, which also requires you to cleanse, get the microplastics out your system, the heavy metals out your system, clear your mind, get your mineral balance back in place. All of these things have to happen so you can start to actually feel like yourself again. And it takes work. And that work, I think, should be began before you even think about leaving, because we don't want to bring that mess anywhere else. None of these countries are perfect either, but they are not dealing with what the United States has been dealing with ongoing since its inception. These countries are not dealing with that stuff. And so we need to be able to clear ourselves and come with the right energy so that we will be received well. Yeah, exactly. I know you're preparing, Just Humble. I know. And that's the best thing you can do. And do the internal work, the mindset, and not just mindset. Because just listening to affirmations is not going to make you be okay if you move to another country and everything is not perfect. And you know what I mean? And folks, a lot of times when things are just not exactly how we're used to them flowing, we get very dismayed and disheveled very quickly. So, I'm not saying that just mindset work will allow you to, not have to experience those things. But if you do the mindset and the cleansing and the purging work and really clear your energy, then when you come, even when the minor upsets and the things are happening, you're not judging them from this lens of, oh, well, we don't do it like that in the U.S. Oh, so that's not right. The way they do it here is not right. This is not going to work for me because this is just different. Like, you don't come with that. Instead, you come with like an open heart and an accepting heart, understanding that everyone don't do things the same way, and every country's not built on the same things and doesn't operate in the same way, and it's just fine. It's okay. And then you start to open up, and then the longer you stay somewhere, you start to realize that maybe this way is even better, you know? Maybe this way is even better, and it's okay. And even if it's not better to me, I'm going to learn how to accept the things that I don't love, and give thanks for the amazing things that are giving me this, phenomenal quality of life. And so that a lot of us who have been stuck in America our whole lives just don't even know about. We haven't experienced it. Maybe back in the 80s and 90s, things weren't as, we had some beautiful things going on back then. It's not as bad as it is now. But now I just see it. And the number one thing that, now I just see it as kind of like unlivable. Because that's just not no way to live. You can live there, but that's not no way to live. Yeah, so, well, I appreciate you all. I'm going to get myself back to the house and get ready to start my work day. I hope everyone is having a beautiful day and a beautiful week. And please, feel free to share this if you have anyone who's thinking about getting up out of there. And please put a like, and if you are, a subscriber, subscribe to the video. We're just trying to keep pushing things. I'm slowly growing and slowly, getting to the point where I'll be monetized soon. So I just want to keep, trying to make some things happen here on YouTube. It's not easy, but okay, y'all. Peace and love. Oh, and check out my video I did. I interviewed an expat here, a girlfriend of mine named Jakira, and it was really fun, and the interview came out really good. I will post the link below. But we were talking about what it looks like to find love and marriage and all of that here in another country, in Brazil, for instance. And so I think the video came out really nice, and I would love for more of you to check that out and see, what it looks like to actually be out here opening yourself up to relationships when you are away from home, when you're in, a new land. Okay? Bye, y'all. Put a like. Much love. Thank you.